So forecasting of cloud spend, as we said, it's pretty challenging. The business context really here is going to be the critical elements. But in terms of a fully rounded kind of FinOps platform and capability, then customers are looking for some sort of forecasting capability. And these are budgeting and forecasting are the things that the finance teams lose when we move to this variable cost public cloud model. They could do that in the data center environment because they were the people that signed the checks for any new infrastructure that was provisioned, right? And it was a well kind of trodden process and path. In the cloud, of course, they know our engineers are running scripts or in the console deploying workloads, right? So they've got really no control, or maybe customer demand is, driving your auto scaling infrastructure to scale out, and so your customer demand is actually controlling, influencing the cost. So it's really an area of pain for finance teams. And again, when we're engaged with those stakeholders, that's the thing that they're saying is, well, we've lost that control. How do we possibly forecast budget? And it's not an easy thing. So again, the guidance from the FinOps foundation is start this early, okay? Because changing the business processes for budgeting and forecasting and cloud spend will take you years. All right, it absolutely will. To pull together all of the different data points, to work with the stakeholders in a much more collaborative way, because there are so many different things that influence that. So it's really a question of, keep it really simple, put in place some budgets with teams, look at it on a really granular basis every week almost. Did I hit the projected budget? What's the forecast for next week? What was it that caused the variance, right? Because if you try and do it on a month or a quarterly basis, right, we're talking about, hundreds of millions of lines of billing data potentially, and that the task is too big. So do it really granular to start with, do it over short time periods so that you can start to see what factors are influencing that, and then you can start to think about that, baking it into your kind of future behaviors. So if you look at your cloud cost overview, you can do that, on a monthly basis, and you include a partial month. Okay, so you have to include, the current month here, March. You'll see the dotted box around the month that is selected here, and that is actually a projection of cost for that month. So you'll see end of month forecast here. So that is the very, very basic forecast capability that exists in the UI. It's influenced, I believe, by whatever you've selected as a time frame as well. So what have we got? A forecast in there of around 9 million. I think if we were to change the time period that we're looking at, that may change what that forecast is. Oh no, okay, it's the same. So but it's very opaque in terms of what's happening there, right? It's just telling you that's the projection here. The other thing that you need to know is that you can't get that data, that forecast, programmatically, right? So you can use our APIs and the bill analysis API. You'll get all the billing data from the data that we've stored and the rule-based dimensions and everything else, because that's what the chart is built around. But this particular forecast is actually done by the UI. If you go into the catalog now and you have a look for forecast, you're going to find a range of policies, which of course have the logic in, and of course they're in GitHub and they're open source. So you can go and look at that and go, oh, okay, well, I can see what you've done there, but this particular customer wants this, or they want to add some weighting in or some growth factors. So we'll add a new parameter and we'll bake that into the numbers. So we've got a straight line model, right, which is literally what's the lowest point, what's the highest point of the data that we've got looking back, and we're going to draw a line through it, right? So it's really blunt. We've got a linear regression model, which is a little bit more accurate. So it's straight line, but it does it over a month by month going through. There's a moving average forecast policy in here. That's really short term. It only ever projects a month, but as we'll see in a minute, because it's very near to short term, it's actually quite accurate. And then we also do a vendor commitment forecast. So remember, we to negotiate an enterprise discount with a vendor, we may commit to spend a certain amount over a period of time. You can put those values in here. It will tell you what you've spent so far during that contractual period, but also based on your monthly run rate so far, what we project that you're going to spend. You know, the discounts that you're getting in an enterprise discount program are dependent on you know, hitting the commitments that you put in place for vendors. And there's also then some usage forecasting. So when you're consuming public cloud resources and you're a, you know, relatively big customer of AWS's or Azure's or Google's, they're going to engage with you on a regular basis and have conversations about what your demand will be for their services. Because at the end of the day, they've still got a data center that they need to install kit in and build out capacity. And so they want to get a sense of what you're doing. So these two policies will give you a view by region or by you know, account or whatever you want to specify as the kind of categorization of how many CPUs you're using, and also the forecast of that, how many compute hours you're using, and also a projection of that. They're quite blunt models. They're kind of straight line, you know, projections based on historical models. But again, they're there for you to go and experiment with, change to meet your customer needs. Okay, so this is an AWS commitment forecast, and it's effectively saying we're going to come in under the $50 million commitment that we had for a 2-year period. And again, this is useful because your discounts are, you know, based on the fact that you're going to hit the amounts that you committed to. Now, this just includes cloud spend, but if you brought in your kind of license costs, or you could configure this policy to include your on-prem licensing, your SaaS costs for, you know, if it was Microsoft that you were doing this for. So that can be quite a useful one. The moving average type forecast that we talked about, again, short term, but you can see how the actual spend really tracking very closely with the moving average forecasts. And again, algorithms here that you can go and adjust accordingly and include, you know, variables to meet customers' needs. The straight line forecasts are pretty blunt, right? So we've done this one by, you know, the services for Amazon. And of course, in fact, this is a multi-cloud service one, so it's just using the top 10 services projection. And we also got another one here, I think, on a longer time period, which again is a similar capability. But if you look at the usage forecasts, they will include a historical view as well. So this is how many virtual CPU cores we're using by the different instance types. And you could, of course, do this for a specific region. What historically my consumption was, and you can configure when we apply those policies what the look back period is, how far back in time I'm going to base my forecasts on, and also how far you want to project forward. So again, useful policies. It really encourage you, and the instance hours looks, of course, exactly the same, but actually the unit is then how many compute hours of each particular type I'm using there. So I encourage you, you know, in your own time or whatever, to go and look through that catalog, go and apply some of the things that you know are of interest or aligned to the needs of the customer. Go and try these things out. So if we look at any of the forecasts, the linear regression one, then you'll see the parameters, right? So what category do you want to do that forecast by? Is it the Flexera category of compute storage network database? Is it a service? Is it a region? Is it by cloud vendor account, and so on? And then 2 parameters are really about how far you want to project. Obviously, the further ahead you're going, the less accurate that's going to be, and what the look back period is as well. So again, if you had some spikes in cost or some big refunds in a particular month or whatever it might be that are going to skew that, then you would shorten the look back period to eliminate that. And you could, of course, take this and customize it and put in, you know, certain months to skip or whatever you wanted to do.